What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are actually going to be installing the new Hybrid Racing V3 RSX short shifter on my brother's car, which I have right here. I'm going to be doing the cables. I also he did buy the RSX shift selector too. I believe it's right here. Yeah, this guy. So we're gonna need to clean this up, of course. So easiest way is just to scrub it real quick, mask off the bottom, and I guess just spray it silver. We'll mask off the sensor too. If you guys do have a Z3 transmission, the only way to run a race shifter is by getting one of these. This is off a Type S or 6-speed RSX. So it allows you to use the cables and the shifter because the Z3 doesn't work. So we have the car pushed out here. What I'm gonna do is install the RSX shift selector, which is this guy down here, as you can see. And one is I have to take off the intake and take off 4 bolts. And the RSX shift selector is not gonna bolt straight on like right off the bat. Only 2 holes will line up. I believe it's the 2 rears, and the other 2 we have to drill and tap. So in order for us to do that, gotta take out the old one, and you gotta make sure the car's in neutral before we put this in. What I'm gonna do before I like paint this or clean this up is actually mock it up, drill it out, and then after that take it back out and respray it or paint it, clean up and paint it. And then the shifter cables, the issue we're having right now is my brother wants to keep the heater, so we have to drill 2 holes underneath here, but there's a lot of stuff that we have to take out in the interior because this does have a heater core still. So we're gonna take off 2 ducts, run the cables through. I'm gonna run it through, let's see, because this has the bigger end. So we're gonna run these 2 out there. So we just have to drill like a 2 1-inch holes or something like that, ride it through, and then I'll clean it up after. So it's a little bit tricky, but I'll get it done. Well, if you're gonna take it out, we're gonna take off these, or at least these 4 right here. And then make sure the car's in neutral. So once you take this thing out, it won't give you any issues. Once you have all 4 of those removed, make sure you have to take out this Allen right here. I believe it's an 8mm. That's what my thing says. Oh, I'm gonna use 2 hands. But take that out, and then as you're taking this out, it's gonna be stuck because there's Honda bond underneath here, so you gotta pry it out. Once you got that little Allen out, which looks like this, unique bolt, and then this is a little bit hard to get out. It had Honda bond on it, so what I did was I put a flathead here and just pried it out. Now the whole thing should come out. It's loose. There we go. Just be careful. Just like that. Woo. So this is the Z3 one. This is the RSX one. If I had to make them look kind of the same, like that. So it just looks like this arm is different, of course, and for all of this. So what I'm gonna do is slide this all in, and let's see, the 2 back ones should line up. Going. You know, let me do this real quick. These 2 holes line up. Only issue I have right now is it's not seating properly because this is in the way. Now I totally forgot about this, so I think we have to get a new one for RSX cables. So I'm gonna take this out so this could seat fully properly, and then we're gonna be tapping these 2 holes. So we're gonna be drilling and then tapping with the M6x1. So we use factory bolts, but this is in the way right now. So let's just do this out. Oh my god. There we go. And I'm gonna take off that little cable bracket so we could make it sit. And wow, look in there. All right. With the cable bracket gone, it sits. Only downside is this has a little like a little dowel on it, and we'll probably swap out that spring too, since the shifter cables, they do come with a new spring right here. So we'll probably swap this out too to the new hybrid racing one. I think some people will be like, oh, you should use it, but it'll be fine. So we're gonna take this, take this back out, and then start marking the holes and then drilling on the transmission, which is gonna be the sketchy part, but at least we'll have a new shifter. It is in. I have these two bolted down. This one right here on the Z3 Trans actually has a dowel, so it does use a dowel on this end. So I mean, you could drill it to use a dowel here if you want to, but we're just gonna use this dowel to keep it centered and have this bolted down. Now I'm gonna drill this out and drill this out, and then we're gonna tap it. Easiest way to do this is find a drill bit that is the same size as the bolts. So we'll drill it out, and then we're just gonna tap it, and we should be able to reuse these. And yeah, keep in mind one side is shorter, so this is the shorter bolt and this is the longer bolt, and we don't need this. I tapped that one, I drilled and tapped that one. Now I marked off this one, and I'm gonna show you guys how to do this one, since I was confident enough to do that one. Now you got 3, just got this last one. And how I know how far the drill is, what I do is I put tape on the drill bit, so I know when to stop. And how I figured out how far to go is by the hole that I'm drilling it into is this one. So what I do is just mask it off like that. This one I have to redo though. I have to remask it because this is done for the other side, since the other side uses a shorter bolt. So just like that. And now we have pretty much 2 templates. This is the taps that I'm using. This is from Harbor Freight, not no fancy like $1,000 one, but it gets the job done. This is an M6 by 1. Can you see it? I think you guys can see M6 by 1. And since it was in a cramped area, I couldn't use the original piece. Well, I use this to start it, but then after that I use this small wrench. This is a 5mm wrench to turn this little tap. So it worked though. Now to pull this all back out, do that last one, and we should be golden. And then take it all back out again and paint it. I got this thing all masked off just so no shavings get in. Now we're just gonna drill right there. I'll just hold it. Drill it. I like starting off with a smaller drill bit so I don't, it don't go too big.
Wait, where do you know to put it?
I already marked it. Here's a tap. What we're gonna do is, slowly kind of working it. Make sure you're doing it, or make sure as you're turning it, it's going in straight so it doesn't become like lopsided or anything. And you can see how the mount's gonna get in the way, say with this bolt. So I just turn it for bits. So with just one hand. Keep it straight. Just like that. And once I tap, and once I hit the mount, take this back off and then twist it around. Just like that. Turn it. a long process. You can see this thing's getting in the way. So let's see. This is hard doing with one hand, but you guys kind of get the idea. Shooting today's weather's stupid. It's sunny, dark. I don't even know how to. This keeps messing with the lighting, but see, like it's getting dark now. So once you get it halfway, or not even halfway, like a quarter of the way, you can slowly just turn it and just make sure you do that so it cleans out the threads. Just keep going, just like that. Now it just gets easier, and I'll stop once it gets to the bottom. This lighting is really bullshit right now, but once you tap it out, try the bolt that you're gonna use, and they should just thread right in, like that. There we go. What I'm gonna do now is mask off, let's see, the sensor right here, the sensor, and then mask off the bottom portion, of course, and then just spray it silver. Probably clean up a little bit, and it should be golden. There we go, painted, shifters in, and don't forget to put in that little 8mm bolt, and don't forget to use Honda Bond or any type of silicone, and there we go. Check it out. Good to go. So since that's good to go now, only issue that we're having right now is figuring out how to run through or get the shifter cables through the firewall. So we're thinking about taking out the whole dash to delete the heater, since we don't really use the heater, and or leave the heater on and drill it underneath the heater hose, which is kind of it's weird just because everything's so tight. If we thought about using the race shifter at first before we put the motor in, then we would have done it before we put the motor in, but since the motor isn't, everything's like on the way. So the only thing I can think of is taking off the heater hose and drilling right underneath here. But still, that's kind of tight. I got to take out the mount. I mean, it's not that bad, but I think that's the only way. I drill underneath here so I can run the cables underneath, and then shift these up a little bit, make a bracket to hold it up. I'm not too worried about getting the shifter installed right now. I just trying to get the cables routed. Plus, I do need that new shifter cable bracket, since that Z3 one won't work. So that I gotta order when we're done doing this, and we'll see where to go from here. But at least the shifter's in there, tapped it, drilled it. Didn't take too long. I just, you know, make sure you take your right measurements and all that. Yep. So there's the old Z3 selector. Don't need that anymore. See where we go from here.